You're listening to Amazing Radio. This is Amazing Afternoons. Delighted to say that we have a guest in the studio in the form of Callum Pitt. Callum, how are you?
Hiya, Frankie. Yeah, I'm very good, thanks. Thanks a lot for having us.
It's a pleasure to have you in here in Amazing Towers once again. It only feels like 5 minutes ago since you were in here doing a session before.
Yeah, it was.
But it's probably a couple of years ago.
Yeah, it was 2019. Absolute lifetime ago.
Yeah. Where's the time gone? I guess you've been busy making music and, well, all the news is about a record coming out this year, finally.
Yeah, thanks. I've been very busy making music. Basically like from like mid 2020, I just sort of decided to start writing an album. Spent hours and hours of my time, like probably 11 hours of the day for most days, just cracking away at it in the spare bedroom. And built up enough songs and finally made an album. And today I'm sort of announcing the album. It's coming out on 2nd of June. Got it on vinyl, which I'm buzzed about. Very excited.
Then absolutely reason to be excited as well. Got a single out today as well, I Feel a God, and Devil in This Room, which we'll play at the end of this chat, of course, which is the tradition of these kind of promo visits, Callum. But let's start with the process. You said you've been working 11-hour days in the spare room, but how primitive is the start of your songs, the singles we've had so far? And I've heard the single we're going to play as well. So many layers of beautiful... You know, you really have thrown the kitchen sink at this, strings, sax, all sorts of things going on, isn't there? But how does it start? What's the process? Is it quite primitive? You in a acoustic?
Yeah, I suppose it is. Like as I started writing the album, I first got like a nylon string guitar, like a classical one, and the majority of my songs just started off on that. Sort of integrating melodies into the guitar playing, and then that's how I worked out the sort of melodies that I wanted to sing. Mm-hmm. From there I would just work up the whole song on the guitar and vocals. I had like this 90s Casio keyboard, which absolutely dreadful, but I was using that to like program in all the string sounds and stuff like that. And I had all these demos, took them to the studio, and then luckily on this song, for example, we got the Royal Northern Symphonia on it as well, so.
Which is no small feat, by the way.
Yeah, it's crazy to like have like Casio keyboard like strings like translated into that. It was absolutely incredible to like watch them record. They're just
where do you get an orchestra to record then? Where do you have to do that?
Yeah, so it wasn't a full orchestra, unfortunately. It was a string quartet, and we got our producer John Martindale knew a violin player called John Garner. Himself and Marie Schreier sort of have their string quartet. Mm-hmm. They came into Blank Studios, which is just at the bottom of Heaton, Newcastle. On the day they came in, actually, there was like this industrial level drill outside the studio, drilling into the pavement. It was like, what's that film? Is it like when they drill into the centre of the earth?
Oh yeah, I know which one you mean. Yeah,
not Independence Day.
Armageddon. Yeah,
maybe. Yeah, and we got in, and I'd been waiting for these strings for like months, like getting them all put down on the paper and stuff.
And because they're classically trained musicians as well, you kind of tiptoe around them a little bit, don't you?
Yeah, they're quite intimidating because they're just like...
They're proper musicians.
They're proper stunning musicians, yeah. And luckily the drilling stopped and we managed to record, but for a moment there I was like, oh God.
Oh no. Yeah, fantastic. So we worked with John Martindale. Is this someone you worked with before?
Yeah, so John has produced all my tracks since... So the very first one that we put out was 2017. Mm-hmm. That was with John. And he's worked with us ever since. He's an amazing producer. Well,
he does lots of different sounds, doesn't he? So he does the wide variety of genres.
He does, yeah.
So what was it about him, though, that made you think he will be able to nail this soft, kind of folk sound of yours?
Yeah, interesting one, because like if you look at John's sort of repertoire, he's done a lot of Pale White. He's done Pigs Times 7. I think it was just basically experience, and like he knows us really well, and I think that there's that natural development throughout my music, and I think we've just gradually got to know exactly what sort of I'm after sound wise. Yeah. And John's just really great at what he does. So I think literally anything I could think of, he could just make it happen.
And that's someone who's familiar with the surroundings always helps, doesn't it? They can throw something. You say, I just need some kind of like stringy kind of synthy paddy sound. He'd be like, yep, got that, one of them.
Yeah.
Stick that on.
Yeah, he has some amazing plugins. Like he has things that make stuff sound like a 90s cassette, and which is like just really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, he just seemed to be able to come up with all sounds which I've sort of had a small idea about what I was after, but he could just like,
Yeah.
make it happen. And
Yeah, and he did, and he has.
he did.
Yeah, and we'll find out on the 2nd of June as well if he's done it in full, Callum. But are you still magpieing from the likes of Elliott Smith, Sufjan Stevens, that kind of sound? Was anything else kind of influence you musically, which maybe you have taken in and you unconsciously put it on the record, or something that you were like, we need to get something that sounds like this?
So production-wise, there's some absolutely amazing production out there at the moment. Like Phoebe Bridgers' production is
incredible.
Some of like the most like it's just really innovative, I think.
You can hear that actually in the single we're going to play. There's a certain kind of momentum to the tempo of this next song, which I couldn't really put my finger on. I've got like Midlake Down and Villages, but actually Phoebe Bridgers, it's there. The tempo, the pace, it's all there.
Thanks. Yeah, like her band Boy Genius, like the three-way harmonies. I've got three-way harmonies on this, and massive inspiration there. It's probably not really come through, but like I've been listening to like a lot of like punk and a lot of grunge recently, but it doesn't really come through on this track. But I think it's definitely like an outside influence. But yeah, lyrically, I'm still very much on like the Sufjan, Elliott Smith, Phoebe Bridgers.
It's storytelling, and I find myself hanging on your every word, which I do when I listen to those artists. You kind of take us as a listener through the track, and the tracks tend to grow as well sonically, which is brilliant. I love that, and I love
a swell. I love like a builder. I do them all the time.
No, but they're great, and especially when you're throwing brass on there as well, and strings, they lend themselves so well to the layers and the textures, and it just sounds, from what I've heard so far, this record, it sounds big. It sounds like a big record.
Yeah, thank you. I'm glad you think so. I sort of did aim for that. Some of the songs, there's so many like wonderful musicians who have joined us on it. So we've got the string quartet, we've got like my sort of usual band, so the drums and the bass. But on top of that, I've got trumpet, I've got saxophone, got some wonderful backing vocals.
You got Jodie Nicholson on this track as well.
Yeah, Jodie Nicholson and me wrote this together.
Brilliant.
Wrote it over Zoom. It was like, I think it was in lockdown actually. Might have one of the lockdowns.
She's great in her own right as well, isn't she?
Yeah, Jodie's incredible. Honestly, like I sort of sent her a demo of this, and the harmonies that she came back with, absolutely amazing. She'll come back with like a 10-part harmony.
Wow.
And it'll just be this massive. This massive construction, and she's absolutely wonderful. Really great to be able to write with her on this.
Now that sounds like it could be the start of something special there, maybe between the two of you, because quite similar artists but very creative, and you get two creative people together. I mean, you get this track which we're going to play very soon as well. So you mentioned that your drums and bass. So how are you gonna get this all down live? I'm assuming there's going to be some live dates around the album.
Mm-hmm.
Are you going to be quite grand in terms of how you're going to approach that then?
It's expensive is the answer to that.
Yeah. Would you save that just for the big homecoming gig kind of thing?
I probably, there's only so many gigs I can afford to have the band and saxophone, and so like the last headline gig I did in November, I was able to afford a saxophone player on top of the band. In the past I've had a cello and a violin player as well as the band, both absolutely great like sort of lineups to play with. There's only so many shows I can do that for, but
you're gonna have to get that 90s Casio out your spare room again.
Just need to sample them all, won't I? Put them out of a job. I'll definitely I'll have a gig to announce in the hometown in the not too distant future, and I'll try and make that as close to the record as possible. It's sort of a case of just being selective about what gigs I can accept, and like make sure I can like recreate the album sounds like well enough, I think. I think that's good, and I think it's very considerate, and it's just the way it has to be as a musician in 2023, doesn't it? Because I imagine, obviously you mentioned all these people have helped him record, and you've been recording in places, and you've obviously had to pay for your time and stuff like that, but have you had help with getting the record out? Is someone helping you put the record release through? Yeah, I've had some amazing help. So my manager Andy Haggerston has been sort of managing this and just helping out with literally everything since about 2016. He's just been wonderful. For this sort of album project, I had a guy called Henry Carden help. He joined for like a little while until his projects became a little bit too much, and he had
Northeast DIY legend. Henry.
He is absolute legend, yeah. And I had, and then I was joined by someone else, Bradley Kulisic, another absolute legend, sort of in the Northeast. So they've been sort of helping us with the project all the way through. I've got who's been helping? Well, I suppose John's helped all the way with his production. And yeah, just having the band sort of contribute to these songs has been absolutely amazing.
No, it's great. We can't wait to hear that album in full. We thoroughly enjoyed Mayfly at the end of last year.
Thanks.
And I think it's time we hear the new single, I Feel a God and Devil in This Room. We're going to play it right now. Thanks so much for popping in, Callum, and I'd imagine we're going to hear from you soon because we've kind of held you down for a new session as well, because we've been playing your old session a few times as well.
Yeah.
So it'd be great if we can get a session from you soon, and
for sure.
hopefully we'll speak to you in and around the album release as well.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure. Thanks very much.